Welcome to CrimePod Castle Unsolved Mysteries, Episode 5.
Oh, wow.
Today we're diving deep into a case that really gripped India.
Okay.
The murder of Jessica Lal.
Hmm.
It's a story that, it goes way beyond just a simple crime.
Yeah.
It's about power,
Right.
privilege,
Yeah.
and a justice system that was really pushed to its limits.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a case that sparked a national movement, and I think it really changed how India views accountability forever.
For sure. So let's rewind back to April 29th, 1999,
Okay.
and picture a really swanky deli bar
All right.
called the Tamarind Café.
Mm.
It's late, the place is buzzing, it's the end of a busy night.
Gotcha.
And Jessica Lal, this young model,
Yeah.
is there helping her friend behind the bar. You can almost feel the energy of the night, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. You can totally picture it, this
Yeah.
kind of vibrant scene.
Yeah.
But, what starts as an ordinary evening quickly takes a very dark turn.
Oh, yeah.
A man named Manu Sharma walks in. Now, he's the son of a very prominent politician.
Oh, wow.
And he demands a drink.
Oh.
But the bar is closed.
Hmm.
But Manu, he's not used to hearing no.
Right.
And so right away, you see this clash of power dynamics.
Yeah.
You have this young woman just doing her job, and she's suddenly facing someone who thinks that the rules don't apply to him.
It's so unsettling how often that happens.
It really is.
And tragically, things just escalate.
Right.
Manu's anger just boils over.
Yeah.
He pulls out a gun and shoots Jessica right there in this crowded bar.
Oh, my gosh.
It's shocking. It's brazen.
Yeah.
And he just walks away like nothing happened.
Wow. The audacity is unbelievable.
It is.
I think it's important to remember the context here. This wasn't just some random act of violence.
Right.
This was just this blatant display of entitlement
Yeah.
and just complete disregard for human life.
Yeah.
And it was fueled by this sense of impunity that a lot of people associated with powerful families.
Right.
And that's really, I think, what ignited the public's fury.
Yeah, I bet. And the aftermath of the crime is almost as unsettling as the crime itself.
Oh, tell me about it.
So during the initial investigation and trial witnesses, many of whom were Manu's friends from these really influential circles,
Yeah.
they started retracting their statements, or they would claim sudden memory loss.
Wow, it's like this veil of silence just descended on the whole case.
Yeah.
It's chilling to think about the fear that must have gripped everyone involved.
Yeah.
Imagine the pressure these witnesses must have felt, knowing that speaking out against someone so powerful could have just destroyed their lives and their families' lives.
I can't even imagine.
It's a stark reminder of how power can just completely distort even the most basic principles of justice.
For sure. And despite what seemed like a mountain of evidence, the trial dragged on for years,
Oh, gosh.
culminating in a 2006 verdict that just sent shockwaves through the nation.
What happened?
Manu Sharma was acquitted due to lack of evidence.
Wow, can you imagine the collective gasp across the country?
I can only imagine.
The sense of injustice was just palpable.
Yeah.
For Jessica's family,
Yeah.
for everyone who was there that night,
Right.
for millions of Indians who had been following this case so closely. It felt like a slap in the face.
Right?
It seemed like such a clear example of the wealthy and powerful manipulating the system to just escape any kind of accountability.
It's really upsetting.
It is. But what's truly remarkable about this case is what happened next.
What's that?
The public just flat out refused to accept this verdict.
Wow.
Imagine this wave of outrage just sweeping across the country.
Yeah.
Protests erupted in cities all over India.
Really?
Candlelight vigils were held.
Mm.
People took to the streets demanding justice for Jessica.
It's almost like a scene from a movie, right?
Mm.
This collective uprising against a system that seemed totally rigged against them.
It really is. And that's how this Justice for Jessica movement was born.
Right.
Fueled by this deep sense of betrayal and just this burning desire to hold those in power accountable.
It really shows you the power of public sentiment, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It was a watershed moment for India.
I bet.
It showed just how powerful collective action could be in challenging these deep-seated systems of power and privilege.
Yeah.
And, this was before social media was everywhere.
Right.
So people were organizing through word-of-mouth newspaper articles, sheer determination.
Wow. That's amazing.
Huh.
And it really highlights the media's role in this whole thing, too, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
They kept the story alive,
Yeah.
gave a platform to those demanding justice,
Right.
applied all this pressure on the authorities to reopen the case.
Mm.
It's a powerful example of how a free and active press
Mm-hmm.
can be this vital check on power.
Couldn't agree more. The media's coverage was relentless, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
They exposed the inconsistencies in the investigation,
Right.
highlighted the influence of Manu Sharma's family,
Uh-huh.
amplified the voices of those who refused to let Jessica's death be forgotten.
It's amazing.
It was investigative journalism at its best.
Totally. And ultimately, the government had to yield to this just overwhelming public pressure, right?
Tick dead.
The case was reopened.
Yep.
Manu Sharma faced a retrial.
Wow.
It's incredible to think how public sentiment can force a system to re-examine its own failures.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's a testament to the power of just not giving up the refusal to accept an unjust outcome.
Yeah.
And in the retrial, the court couldn't ignore the weight of the evidence,
Right.
the initial witness testimonies, the undeniable public outcry.
It all came together.
It did.
So finally, in December 2006, almost 7 years after Jessica's murder, Manu Sharma was found guilty of her murder and sentenced to life in prison.
It's a bittersweet victory.
Yeah.
Such a long and arduous journey to get even a semblance of justice.
Absolutely.
But, it was a moment of catharsis for many.
I bet.
But it also exposed these really deep flaws within the Indian legal system.
Like what?
The vulnerability of witnesses,
Yeah.
the influence of power and money,
Right.
the long road to actually holding people accountable.
Right.
The case became a symbol of this fight for a truly just and equitable society.
The Jessica Lal case, it wasn't just about one crime.
Right.
It was this turning point in how India viewed power privilege and the pursuit of justice.
For sure.
It raised these really crucial questions about witness protection, the role of the media, the fight against corruption in the legal system.
Yeah, it really makes you think about how fragile justice can be and the courage it takes to stand up for what's right.
It does. And, it left a real legacy.
Oh, yeah. How so?
The Jessica Lal case didn't just spark conversations.
Yeah.
It led to some real tangible changes.
Like what?
For instance, the witness protection scheme in India, which was pretty new back then,
Okay.
gained huge momentum after this case.
Oh, wow.
The public outcry really showed how vulnerable witnesses are, especially when they're going up against powerful people.
Right.
And the need for a system to keep them safe so they're not afraid to speak out.
Makes sense. That's a big step forward. It's like the case forced the system to look in the mirror and finally do something.
Yeah, it became a catalyst for change.
Exactly. And it really underlined how important the media is.
Oh, for sure.
It wasn't just about reporting the news. It was about digging deep, investigating, giving a voice to the people who couldn't speak for themselves,
Yeah.
and just keeping the pressure on until justice was served.
Wow.
The Jessica Lal case is like a perfect example of how a free press can change things.
Yeah, it's inspiring to see how something so tragic can lead to something positive.
It is.
It shows that even when you're up against enormous power, the truth can win out.
Right.
And that people can make a difference when they come together for a cause.
That's the heart of it. The Jessica Lal case reminds us that the fight for justice never ends.
It doesn't.
It's about always questioning, challenging, pushing for a world where everyone is truly equal in the eyes of the law.
No matter who they are, who they know.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it leaves us with some big questions.
Yeah, what are those?
What does the Jessica Lal case tell us about the power of people coming together? How do we keep fighting against the influence of wealth and power in the legal system?
Good question.
And what can each of us do to protect justice?
Those are questions we all need to think about.
For sure.
The Jessica Lal case might be in the past,
Yeah,
but its lessons are as relevant as ever.
they are.
It reminds us that justice isn't a guarantee. It's something we have to constantly fight for and safeguard.
Absolutely. Well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive into the Jessica Lal case.
It's been a privilege to explore this story with you.
Thank you for joining us on this journey.
My pleasure.
And as always, we encourage you to keep the conversation going. Share your thoughts on the Jessica Lal case in the comments below, and let's keep talking about it. And if you enjoyed this episode of CrimePod Castle Unsolved Mysteries, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating explorations into unsolved mysteries. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the world's most intriguing cases.